bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro,
like-
less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's me, James Gisanti, here at the Mark It Down podcast. It's Saturday night still for another few minutes. So you know what that means. We're here in the Gym Pack Zone covering TNA Slammiversary. TNA absolutely delivered tonight with an excellent pay-per-view. I am not alone anymore, so I'm a little scared. But this was a very fun show from beginning to end. There were some questionable booking decisions, but we'll get into that. And quite frankly, I enjoyed myself. I thought tonight was a very great show, a very strong show. And I think one of the main things that TNA really wanted to get across is that, yes, we are in this new era of professional wrestling for TNA. So let's get into it. Let's see what we thought about everything tonight. Although for some reason, I just lost a bunch of my banners. So that's going to be fun to deal with. But to start, we're going to go over the pre-show. We're going to go over, I'm not going to go hard into it because I know it is late. I know we're all tired. But the pre-show saw a fatal four-way knockouts match as Giselle Shaw, Zaya Brookside, Tasha Steelz, and Fabi Apache. I'm sorry, I'm still not getting the name 100% right. And that's my dryer. In a fatal four-way knockouts match. Giselle Shaw, in my opinion, was the star of the match. But Tasha Steelz picked up the win. Continuing, I guess, off the little feud that they had, or the match that they had on TNA on Impact last week, where Giselle picked up the win over the former Knockouts champion. So let's see if this continues this feud into something a little bit more, into something a little bit longer. But I'm all here for it. I love Tasha. I think she's a great talent who's sort of unfortunately gotten lost in the mix of things with all of the new signings, with all of the new talent that TNA has, but a former Knockouts champion and a great talent picking up a big win on the pre-show. I don't know what there you go. That's part of the recap. We then go to our next pre-show match as Kushida took on Rich Swann in what was a replacement match. As originally it was supposed to be Kushida versus Jonathan Gresham, but Gresham could not compete tonight for apparently a legit non-kayfabe injury. So Kushida was rocking a new look. Kushida was rocking something a little bit different, some lettering down his body. We'll see. I don't know if this was planned to be part of his deal with Gresham, as we're seeing Gresham's ink affecting his opponents. But we'll find out as we go forward if this is going to continue or not. But we then moved on to our last match on the pre-show, as the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship match saw Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich, Alicia of the System, taking on the former champions Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat. Not much to say here. Again, I made it clear to you guys, I have nothing against Alicia. I've just never been a huge fan of hers. But you guys know I love me some Masha Slamovich. You guys know I love me that Russian crazy lady. So I'm surprised they retained, because I really thought we were going to see the return of Killer Kelly, costing this team the match. But Militia continues, the System starting the night off with a win, even if it was on the pre-show. Hey, stop changing the outcome. I never put the outcome in the banner. But we did have, I'm sorry, one last surprise match on the pre-show, and Santino Marella himself came out and announced Eric Young would have an opponent, a mystery opponent, and that opponent being the return of Alex Hammerstone. We haven't seen Hammerstone in quite some time. It was, quite frankly, a little disappointing that he was back and got a loss to Eric Young. I'm all for Eric Young picking up a win in Canada. He's a veteran. He should be on the thing. He should be on the show. Thank you, producer boy. He should be on the show because he is a TNA veteran. He is a TNA legend. But Hammerstone is a hot talent, and this is his return. He should not be losing to Eric Young. It's a bit of a bummer, but I'm just happy he's back in general. But yes, that was the pre-show. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time talking about it. It did a good job of getting the crowd hyped. And let me say, the crowd was into the show tonight, guys. They weren't I got only disappointed with them at the main event, but I think that's because they really burned themselves out earlier in the show with all the excellent matchups that we got. But yeah, a little bit of a bummer with their endurance, but they were hot to trot from the get-go. But moving on to the main show, we start with Matt Hardy taking on JDC of the System, kinda, not really, fully. But JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis, trying to get some revenge, Matt is, after Dango helping the System retain the tag team titles in their bout on Thursday, helping Jeff Hardy get injured with the steel chair to the throat, and of course, apparently, also injuring Rebby Hardy backstage. So Matt came out first. Well, you know what? Before we even get there, we'll acknowledge that they did a great job of starting the show. The production team is really killing it right now. They did a great shot highlighting the highest number of fans TNA has had in over a decade. Really well done. There was a nice rendition of the Canadian national anthem, which was always fun to hear. And then they had a nice video package play that hypes up, like I said, this new era that TNA wrestling is a part of. But yeah, now going to the main matchup, the first matchup of the night, Matt comes out first. He's waiting in the ring for JDC. JDC comes out waving a huge American flag, but before he could even get to the ring, Matt Hardy charges JDC, attacking him on the ramp on the outside. He slammed his face against the ring post and then slammed it against the ring apron. He just keeps bashing his face on different things like the timekeeper's table is everything. And of course, there is no DQ here. There is no problem here as the match hasn't started. So nothing could happen. No disqualification for a match that hasn't even begun. JDC then grabbed the American flag and then attacked Hardy with the pole. Finally, they get inside. The match starts. The bell rings, and JDC sent Hardy into the turnbuckle. He then bit Hardy. I'm sorry, not bit. Jesus Christ, it's late, guys. I apologize. He hit Hardy with some big rights, setting him up on the top rope, and then kicking him in the ribs. JDC covered Hardy, who was able to kick out at 2. Hardy then fights back, but JDC connects with a big right elbow. JDC then bit the forehead of Hardy. See, I had the bite right. I just was reading wrong. JDC then Hardy down on the mat and locked up. Matt tried to get out of the hold, finally does, and JDC kicks him back down onto the apron. JDC is on the second rope, comes down, but Matt is able to dodge it. Hardy then clotheslined JDC onto the apron, and then Hardy then slamming JDC's head onto the turnbuckle, and the very loud crowd giving the delete chants. Hardy then suplexed JDC on and goes to the second rope, and then lands a big elbow of his. Hardy kicked JD. Hardy goes for the twist of fate, but JDC is able to block it. Hardy then goes and then hits him only for a 2 count. JDC recovers and drops Hardy with a Falcon Arrow, and then goes up to the second rope, setting up what I believe is going to be his big leg drop. But Hardy then hits a twist of fate onto JDC from the second rope and getting the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Matt hits 2 more twists of fate. One being for Rebby Hardy and one being for his brother Jeff Hardy. So nice. We're at 500 for the system, getting 1 win and 1 loss, 1 on the main show and 1 on the pre-show. Matt being on the card made sense. He's still a big deal for TNA right now. Jeff not being on the card makes sense because he is not allowed in Canada, unfortunately. But I'm sure this feud will continue, and I am sure we will get some revenge on Jeff's behalf by Jeff. We then had a backstage vignette with the system and Alicia, of course, being Alicia. They then introduced the French-Canadian announce team. I thought that was really fun. And then we get ready for our first title match of the night of the main card as the system, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers are set to defend the tag team titles against the ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. You guys know I love me the ABC. They are one of my favorite tag teams in professional wrestling right now, and they are just, in my opinion, the future of TNA. Whether it's in the singles division or the tag division, these are just 2 great talents. There was a lot to get over. First of all, I love them wearing the pink gear. Everybody loves being in Canada. Everybody loves honoring the Hearts. So very cool on the ABC's behalf. I'm just going to get to the ending of the match, which I just thought was a lot of fun. Austin and Bay went for a magic killer, getting a 2 count. I am very interested to see where this is going to go. I'm interested to see, now that we have this TNA NXT collaboration, the Good Brothers, who are the rightful owners of that move, are currently more NXT stalwarts than they are main roster guys. So I want to see if we might see some Bullet Club crossover as the ABC interacts with the Good Brothers. It kind of is on par with everything else that's been happening with the TNA NXT collaboration, as we're seeing excellent TNA stars, top tier TNA stars, go over to NXT, but not the other way around. Producer boy, can you pull that clip back up or pull up the tweet that you pulled up? Yeah, this is the finish as the ABC ended a very good and underrated tag team title run of the system. I don't know. Look, they looked dominant. They did, but I don't know how great a title run it was, but they were pretty dominant. The ABC hitting multiple tag finishes, one after another, and then they get the win, and they are now 3-time TNA tag team champions. I'm very excited for this. I'm very much rooting for a resurgence for the TNA tag team titles and the TNA tag team division in general. I think they took a big hit by losing the Motor City Machine Guns, wherever they may land. But with now the Rascals being boosted up again, with the ABC having the tag titles again, the system not going anywhere, the Hardys back in play, I think we might have some fun here in the tag team division again. But we shall see. We then go backstage where Mean Gia Miller is talking to Mike Bailey about his X Division title match later in the night here in his hometown. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to agree, but I'm always going to be rooting for Speedball. We then go to our first singles match of the main card tonight as Mike Santana took on Jake Something. Guys, I feel bad. I feel weird because I'm really rooting for Santana. I think he's a guy who's betting on himself and he's taking some risks with his career, and he sees himself as a main event singles guy. So I commend him for wanting to go that route. I commend him for going to a place where that would be a possibility for him. He had a great matchup with Jake Something, but I see so much potential in Something. I see so much potential in Jake. Yes, I said it. But this was an excellent match, kind of a Haas fight, which is interesting because I never really think of Santana as this big guy, but doesn't matter. In this crowd that was firmly behind him, he might as well have been a giant because the aura he gave off was that of a main eventer. sorry that I'm a Jake something fan. I think he's kind of not being booked the way he should be, but there's still a lot of time, especially now that he seems to be way more heelish than not. But the wishy-washy back and forth that he's been doing the last month or so, the last month and a half, hasn't been doing him any favors. But these guys really brought it to each other. Lots of big drops, lots of big hits, lots of explosive action. Jake something has proven that he works really well with fast-paced talent. He works very well with guys who can up the pace for him. And he is more than capable of meeting them halfway. There was one great spot where Jake was setting up for a power bomb, and he couldn't quite get Santana up, but he reset and just overpowered with that power bomb. And I know power bombs take two to tango. Santana really needed to work those abs, and they did. But, man, it was a great spot to see. It could have been a bad botch, but quite frankly, they were both able to turn it around and turn it into something really cool. The finish coming with Santana hitting his big lariat, getting the 1-2-3, moving on to probably bigger and better. So we'll see what Santana does. The World Championship division is definitely in flux right now. We'll get into that in a little bit, of course. But that division is wide open. So let's see. We then go to a backstage bit where we recount what happened in the pre-show, where Eric Young talks about beating Hammerstone. He says that he's still watching real close, even though he's not in the main event and he was only on the pre-show. He is here to make sure that that's not going to last too much longer. So good on Eric Young. Like I said, it was weird that he won that matchup, in my opinion, but if they're going to heat him up, they're going to heat him up. What can I tell you? We then go to a video package hyping up the Rascals versus NXT's No Quarter Catch Crew. No Quarter Catch Crew came out first, and then the Rascals came out to a monstrous ovation. A fully formed Rascals, well, mostly, as we had the return of Wesley to TNA, teaming up with Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. Guys, it's surreal to see this team again. It's surreal to see these guys interacting in this capacity. I really enjoy the Rascals as I don't want to say as like a plucky heel team, but they are like the little Rascals. They are coming from the treehouse. That's where they're booked. They're these young guys who are just causing mayhem and causing mischief. So it's interesting to see them as faces right now, but Wesley is a hell of a babyface, and it was able to translate over. I did love very early on in the match, Wentz goes for a Bronco Buster, and Tom Hannafin, who's usually going against them because he's the babyface announcer against the heel team, he was loving it. And when Matt Rainwald called him out on it, he says, "What? Now it's funny." That's wrestling logic for you. When you're a good guy, it's funny. When you're a bad guy, it's dastardly. But I very much enjoyed that, and I enjoyed this matchup in general. I made it clear I do like Charlie Dempsey. I think the kid has a lot of upside. He has a lot of potential. I haven't been crazy about the usage of NXT stars in TNA, and again, not because of NXT stars getting the win over TNA stars. It's just I feel like we're not getting top tier WWE talent when TNA is sending the best they have over to NXT. But I will say this matchup really did make me reconsider just because of how good it was and how good the talents were. They might not be top names. They might not be the most recognizable faces, but they are delivering in the action department. And at least in this instance, they did. In some of the knockouts matches that we got where the women were sent over from NXT, I can't necessarily say that's always the case, but it was the case here. We had the No Quarter Catch Crew grounding the Rascals for much of the match. We got a hot tag to Wes, and then the crowd just erupted. There were a lot of NXT chants, which, again, I'm not crazy about, but I do understand. they just kept diving and diving and diving on the no quarter catch crew, keeping them at bay. Wentz then lifted Heights. So the no quarter catch crew being Charlie Dempsey, Miles Bourne, and Tavion Heights. Wentz lifted Heights into a torture rack position, and then Miguel hit a flying stomp, and Wentz slammed Heights. Wentz and Lee then joined forces for the Hot Fire Flame Splash, a move we haven't seen them perform in quite a while, getting the win, pinning Heights, and we see the Rascals avenging their loss from last week on TNA, and the Rascals fully formed get the win. I loved it. I hope this isn't the last we see of this trio. I would love to see them fully formed with their fourth member. Great stuff. Great stuff. Rooting for more of this. I would love to see the Rascals going back and forth between NXT and TNA, but great way to go. We then had a video package hyping up PCO versus AJ Francis for not only the Digital Media Championship, but the International Heavyweight title as well. AJ Francis comes out with his homie, Rich Swann. AJ grabs the mic and he says he's got bad news for the crowd. PCO won't be here tonight. They then show footage of AJ and Swann taking out PCO earlier in the evening. AJ says he needs a ref to come out to declare him the winner and still champion. As the ref is getting ready to raise AJ's hand, we get the PCO entrance. He's in a casket in the entryway. A body is lowered from the ceiling into the casket. Once it's open, PCO is shown coming out, raising his feet to a big ovation. He leapt out of the casket and he made his way to the ring. Santino, who was concerned about this match ending in DQ, turned it into a Montreal street fight. And thankfully it did. Look, you guys know, again, I'm a fan of PCO. I think the guy is killing it, especially for his age. He's putting his body through disgusting, horrible things. We have a tweet saying the PCO versus AJ Francis match looked like awful television. It wasn't. It was a cluster, 22 minutes. It was a clusterfuck of a match. It wasn't. It was overbooked to hell. It was silly and hardcore for the sake of it, because quite frankly, those are the only matches you see, we have another tweet saying, bro, PCO versus AJ Francis fucking ruled. It's all about your preference. If you like messy, hardcore wrestling, this match delivered because it had all the PCO spots. At one point, it did look like Francis was going to get the win. Quite frankly, there were two big kickouts that I was not expecting. I also want to acknowledge that it wasn't just Rich Swann who was with AJ Francis. It was also Josh Bishop. Hold on, I want to see the tweet. Yep. PCO just put AJ through double tables. It was a great spot. The tables exploded. It looked awesome. And both men, you got to remember, AJ Francis is deceptively tall. He is deceptively gigantic. But yeah, Francis had Josh Bishop with him as well. They couldn't keep PCO down. Eventually, Sami Callihan made his way out, was able to drive off Bishop, but then got attacked by his old friend, Rich Swann. Rich Swann then goes in the ring and celebrates, taking out Sami Callihan, only to get a massive gore from the man beast, from Rhino. Like I said, guys, again, I love Rhino. I don't need to see him wrestle. Just come out, gore people, and leave. I think they found a winning formula with that. But as we get back into just the two men, PCO landed a big moonsault, but Francis was able to kick out. Very impressive to see AJ kick out of the PCO salt. Top Dollar was able to then hit a tombstone pile driver, but PCO kicked out. Again, both guys absolutely delivering here. Eventually, AJ went for a choke slam, but PCO was able to get out of it, and PCO hits a massive choke slam onto some chairs to Francis, and then hits another moonsault, this time getting the win, winning not only the Digital Media Championship, but the International Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, a belt that commentary really made sure was pounded over our heads as a belt that PCO has wanted his entire career. Quite frankly, I'm sure that's the only reason why they did this, because what? But it's awesome. PCO double champion in TNA, and even bigger, out comes Steph DeLander, who has returned from Australia and proposes to PCO. When waiting for his answer, we get the we, and we will now have, I'm sure, a hilariously destructive wedding ceremony between PCO and Steph DeLander. I wonder how Mance is going to feel about that. But fun matchup, fun action. I don't know if I missed a tweet from Producer Boy, but yep, there you go. This tweet saying, I'm going to be 100% honest. I thought PCO versus AJ Francis was going to be a bathroom break match, but this match has been gas. These boys are cooking. Guys, PCO in the right circumstances can deliver a very exciting match. And I've been telling you since AJ Francis, since Top Dollar made his way to TNA, he has reinvented himself. He has made himself a great mid-card heel, at the very least, a mid-card heel. So great work by both of these guys. This tweet, PCO and AJ Francis just took some insane bumps and had an incredibly fun street fight with PCO picking up the victory. Fun match. I don't know that it would have given off Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega vibes, but under the right circumstances, hella fun, hella exciting. We then go. Do we go backstage? No. We then get a hype package setting up our Knockouts World Title match as Ash by Elegance prepares to take on World Champion Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace, who, as we all know, is just everywhere. She is in NXT. She's in Royal Rumble. She is a long-reigning Knockouts champion at this point. It's great to see the history maker, as they're calling her, get her flowers. But starting the match off, of course, we had the personal concierge make his personalized entrance for Ash by Elegance. It was exactly what you'd expect, calling these Canadians a bunch of degenerates. I don't know if I'd ever call them degenerates, but they are deceptively nice. There's got to be something behind it. But I was happy with the progress I saw by Ash by Elegance in this matchup. I feel like she hasn't really had a lot of opportunities to show off. They were either kind of squash matches or the matches where she had the opportunity to wrestle a little bit. She didn't really shine. I thought Jordynne brought out a lot from her in this matchup. Both women got in each other's faces as the bell rung. Jordynne grabbed Ash and powers her down, but Ash was able to come back because, again, Ash by Elegance has always been a kind of body character, has always been a strong woman. So I'm glad that is in play here against the juggernaut, Jordynne Grace. Ash ran the ropes, but Grace was able to take her down. Grace then charges at Ash, but she moves out of the way. Jordynne then slapped Ash and picked her up and dropped her with a spine buster. Jordynne covered Ash, but only got the 2 count. And then we got a shot of someone coming down to ringside. And of course, it was Rosemary. Rosemary, who's been rather obsessed, I guess, with, if not Ash by Elegance, at the very least, the personal concierge. As she's out there, the concierge caused them too much of a fuss, and that got him ejected from ringside. Now, granted, with what Rosemary did next, I'm glad he got ejected from ringside because I didn't want to see where that was going to go. But Rosemary grabbed a knife. She had a knife ready and chased off the concierge, and it came down just to the 2 women. Ash nailed Grace in the back and then stomped on her. Both women were on the apron, and then Ash tried to pick up Jordynne, but after a little bit, she was able to drop her onto the apron. Both women then get back in the ring. Jordynne goes to the second rope, but Ash dropped Grace with a backstabber. Ash then had Grace locked up. She was on Grace's back with a sleeper, but she fell on her, breaking the hold, and Ash just got dropped. Jordynne then picked up Ash and power slammed her. Grace then hits Ash with a spinning back fist. Jordan picking up Grace and dropping her on the back and covering her. Ash was able to kick out at 2. Jordan picked up Ash, but then pushed her. And I'm so sorry, guys. My notes. I'm exhausted. I'm not reading this right. I'm not reviewing this right. I had a little bit of technical difficulties during the match, so I'm doing my best here. But the finish coming after Jordan locked in a sleeper hold onto Ash. Ash was able to get out of it, reverse it, and tried to cover Grace, but who was able to kick out. Ash by Elegance gets up, and Grace goes for the Juggernaut driver, but Ash was able to counter that as well. Jordan then picked up Ash and dropped her, finally hitting the Juggernaut driver, getting the 1-2-3. I will be honest with you guys. I didn't know how this was going to go. Jordan is obviously the hot act for TNA, especially with the Knockouts division right now, crossing over with the NXT division. Jordan being the Knockouts champion and taking that championship to NXT is a big deal, but with her likely leaving TNA come January, I wouldn't have been shocked if they wanted to heat somebody else up. This tweet saying, Jordan retained, but Ash brought it tonight. If you can't admit it, I don't know what else I can say to you at this point. I agree with that. I know a lot of people are actively not really trying to root for Ash by Elegance. Initially, there were the comparisons to Tiffany Stratton. Initially, there were just people who didn't understand the gimmick. And of course, there were people who just remembered Dana Brooke and all the things that she really wasn't capable of doing, or all the things that she never had the time to develop. But she's been working hard, and with the right opponent, I know she can bring it. And Jordan Grace is often going to be that right opponent. So great work from both of these women. The title reign of the History Maker continues. Very interested to see if she's going to have another WWE challenger come her way sooner than later. And I'm interested to see where Ash by Elegance lands here. I feel like a feud with Rosemary's on the cards, especially after she took out Havoc a couple months ago. But who knows? Time will tell. But Jordan Grace, still your Knockouts champion. We then go to our X Division match, our X Division championship match of the night, as we have the champion, Mustafa Ali, taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. Now, guys, I know the world loves Mustafa Ali. I love Mustafa Ali. I think he has been an excellent X Division champion. But I love, and I will always love, Speedball Mike Bailey. Speedball is one of the best talents in the world. I said it, I'll say it again. Any roster would be lucky to have him, no matter the letters of your company, WWE, AEW, TNA, doesn't matter. Speedball is an asset, and I'm so happy that he's getting highlighted, and I'm very happy he got to have this match in his hometown, in his home country. Right out the gate, both men lock up. Speedball pushes Ali to the ropes. Both men run the ropes, and then Ali is able to drop Bailey, but who gets back up, and then Bailey takes him down. Speedball chops at Ali, and then Ali slaps the leg of Bailey. Ali takes down Bailey with a shoulder tackle. Bailey is up and kicks Ali in the back. Bailey tries to kick Ali, but he moves out of the way. Bailey then takes Ali off his feet. Ali comes back and then drops Bailey, and Ali jaws at Bailey and then sends him to the ropes. I love, and I'm going to get more into the matchup itself, but I just got to say, I love the dynamic here with this babyface Speedball, who's definitely got a little bit more of an edge to him, who's definitely got a little heat to him, considering what Mustafa's team did to Trent Seven a week or two ago, where he just decimated Trent Seven's leg and made Speedball watch. When we saw Speedball attack Mustafa last week in the car, I thought that was a great development for the character and a great way for him to develop a little more personality. And then that underdog factor of him coming up against the security team and and Mustafa clearly being afraid of him. This tweet, being part of the redemption. Oh, this tweet from Speedball. Being part of the redemption of a pro wrestling legend was an absolute honor. Thank you, Earl. I have nothing but respect and gratitude for Mustafa Ali, the brightest mind in professional wrestling today, and maybe my greatest rival. I will see you again soon. We will get to that. Yes, Earl Hebner was the referee. Eric in the comments saying Ali dropped the title so he doesn't have to work for WWE. We'll see. It's not just been title holders who've gone to NXT from TNA. We've got a little bit of everything. But yeah, I just want to move forward a little bit here. I'll get near the end of the match. Ali attempted a 450 only to have Bailey roll away. Speedball heads up top, but Ali rolls over and trips him up. Speedball fired back with a kick to the head. He hits a poison rana off the top rope and then follows with an Ultima weapon, but only getting a 2 count. I thought that was insane. The Ultima weapon is a very protected move as far as I know. He only ever really typically gets wins with it. So it was a little shocking to see Mustafa kick out of it, but I thought that was a great spot. Speedball thought he won, and his music even started playing, but the ref said that Ali had his foot on the rope. The ref inadvertently ended up getting knocked out, and then Campaign Singh and the security detail rushed out and just started beating up on Speedball. Ali hit then 2 450 splashes while the security held Speedball down. They try to revive the ref who started the count, but he's pulled out of the ring by a masked man in riot gear. That man being Trent Seven. He revealed himself, beats up the security detail, scares them all off. Ali then dives onto Seven and hits his knee with a chair, the knee that he had already taken out a couple of weeks ago. Ali then smashed the chair over Bailey's back, calls for someone else to come out. That person being Earl Hebner. He got huge Canadian heat. Huge Canadian heat. You gotta love that Canadian heat. The crowd chanted, of course, "You screwed Brett," as Ali put Speedball in a sharpshooter. Earl won't make the fast count, though, and he refuses to call it, and Ali got pissed. Speedball then avoided another chair shot, took out Ali, and put him in a sharpshooter of his own, making Ali tap out, redeeming Earl Hebner. Man, what a carny. I fucking love it. Great spot, great tweet there, producer boy. Thank you for pulling it up. Earl Hebner finally redeeming himself in TNA. Somewhere Bret Hart is scowling angrily, but that'll be fine. I very happy Speedball got the win. He is like I can only say enough. I can't say enough good things about him as a wrestler. He's also, from all accounts, a great human being. And if anything, I would love to see him mixing it up with WWE talent. I keep emphasizing WWE just because it's got to be people beyond NXT. I am not reading that. I am not reading that, producer boy. You guys who saw it, good for you. Sorry for those who are just listening in. I'm not reading everything. But yeah, great X Division matchup. The crowd was super into it. And I think, quite frankly, that's what burned them out for the main events, guys. They were just, there were moments where the crowd, you could tell they wanted to be into it, and they reacted to stuff. If big moments happened, they got loud. But there were so many moments where it just felt like the energy had been zapped from them. And again, I think this match took a lot of that energy, but that's fine. Moving on to our main event, we have the TNA World Championship on the line as Moose, who came out decked in American gear that would make Cody Rhodes blush, defended his title against Steve Maclin, Frankie Kazarian, Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, and Nic Nemeth. This was a star-studded match. I didn't realize. I don't know why. I don't know if it was announced and I just wasn't paying attention, or if they changed it last minute. And again, that's on me for not really knowing. But I didn't realize this was going to be an elimination match. I thought this was going to be a one in, one out, and you're done kind of match. But this was elimination. And Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's bad, just because I think in a lot of ways you're just sort of burying everybody. But I do think the story here of the match was good enough to justify that booking decision. It was good enough to justify everybody either getting a loss or what. Early on, Moose tried to get Kaz on his side, but the Faces took him out. And then Hendry hit Moose with a delayed suplex onto the floor. And then he press slammed Nemeth onto Moose at ringside. Kaz had a funny moment before that where he tried joining in with the baby faces attacking Moose, but none of the baby faces had it, and they all just decimated him as well. I love that. Kaz then attacked Hendry, but Macklin and Alexander ganged up on him. They take down Kaz with a backbreaker and knee drop combo, and that alliance was short-lived. Josh then took multiple opponents out with German suplexes, a la Kurt Angle, as Tom Hannafin pointed out. Josh Alexander looked like a beast in the beginning of this matchup. He just looked like, I know his nickname's the Walking Weapon, but he looked like a machine, a wrestling machine, if you will. Sorry, Kurt. I don't think you have that coined. If you do, we don't have any money to give you anyway. But Josh absolutely looking like a stud with multiple German suplexes to multiple opponents. Nemeth was able to get control and repeatedly drop elbows onto to Moose, hitting the 1 through 9. As he's getting ready for the 10, Moose rolls out to the outside. That doesn't stop Nemeth, who goes to the apron and then hits that elbow drop for the number 10. I thought that was fun. He signaled for the title, saying, I guess he'll do anything to win that TNA World Championship. Kaz and Moose got some offense in before Kaz countered a moonsault with a diving cutter. This allowed Macklin some time to get hot. He hit a lot of spears. He hit some tope suicidas. He hit his tag him and bag him spear into the corner. As he's getting ready to go up for the KIA onto Kaz, Moose hits a massive spear and is able to eliminate Macklin first. The crowd then sang the goodbye song to Macklin. I guess it's because he's so American. I don't know. Let's go to Producer Boy's tweet. They just had Joe Hendry. Got ahead of ourselves here. They just had Joe Hendry pin Moose, guarantee a new world champion, and then beat Joe Hendry with a C4 from Josh Alexander. Crowd chanted bullshit. Talk about terrible booking decisions of 2024. I disagree. We'll get into that in a second. We're having trouble getting people to pay $300. But yeah, before I get into that, I want to continue with the matchup a little bit. Moose kept his opponents isolated in each corner, dropping them with kicks to the face. He then hits a spine buster onto Kaz onto the apron. Nemeth and Alexander then take out the rest, and everyone's fighting on the entryway. We had a lot of action up on the ramp. Alexander tries to C4 Moose onto the stage, but Moose is able to backdrop him, and he tries to slam Hendry off the stage. Hendry was able to avoid it, and then Nemeth was finally able to super kick Kaz off the stage and through a table. Moose then dragged Nemeth and Alexander back to the ring. He then powerbombed Nemeth onto Alexander. Hendry was able to regain control, fall-away slamming multiple people. It was impressive with how much air he gave basically everyone he hit the move to. But this is where I noticed that the crowd was starting to die. They really just did not have energy. You disagree. Biggest show should be Hendry winning the title from your biggest name, who happens to be Nemeth. Exactly. Yeah. Beautiful. I agree with you. So I'll see you in 3 months for Bound for Glory. So high five on the simpatico, buddy. But we'll talk about that in a second. After hitting all those fall-away slams, he's able to kip up, and the crowd did pop a little bit, but again, I could just tell they were dead. Moose does it too, and he kicks Hendry right in the face. He speared Alexander and then Nemeth, and then Hendry tries to steal with a roll-up, but Moose connects with a pump kick. Hendry then fired back with a clothesline. He connects with the standing ovation, a massive, massive standing ovation, and he eliminates Moose, guaranteeing that new world champion. This is big because you have your biggest babyface, the guy that everybody wants it to be, pinning the world champion. He is, if this was any other match, he would be the world champion. But that's not how this goes. You know how it goes. We then go immediately to Hendry taking on Alexander, who kicks him right in the junk. He reversed the move, kicked him in the groin, and then hits him with a C4 to just 1, 2, 3, knock him out. And then afterwards, he mounts him and then just starts wailing on him. Wailing with elbows and fists, bloodying up Hendry, who Alexander then just took that blood and wiped it over his bald head. It was very uncomfortable. He then screams not only to Hendry, but at the crowd that he is the heart and soul of TNA. He shoved the ref back. He shoved the ref into the corner, backs him up, and is threatening violence on him when Nemeth runs in to make the save. Josh knocked him down and stepped on his hair. He calls for the C4. The crowd is very not happy right now. They are not happy with their Canadian superhero. Nemeth was able to fight back, hit a corner splash, but Alexander stopped and hit a second. I'm so sorry, I messed that up. Nemeth fights back with a corner splash and then hits him with a second one and targets Nemeth. And then Alexander targets Nemeth's injured shoulder. Guys, I am so tired and I am so sorry. Up the Waz. What's up? Welcome to the chat. I knew Nick was going to win when they had the contract signing and he wasn't there after the attack, but said he will still be clear to compete. I think a lot of us saw Nemeth being a likely option. There was a lot of hope that it would be Hendry, considering how hot he is, not just because of his TNA, his NXT connection, but because of how hot he's gotten in the media in general. A lot of people believe in Joe Hendry, but yeah, not shocked that Nemeth won this match. But going back to Eric's comment, although waiting that long might not be the right move, in my opinion, he's been the hottest thing going for half a year already. I would have just hot-shotted it on him and have him face a heel Ziggler. I would agree with you in general there, producer boy, but I think the NXT of it all definitely changes some things up. With 3 months to go between now and Bound for Glory, you do have the risk of him cooling off. You do. But if you are going to emphasize him in NXT, which seems like a certainty at this point, a certainty that he's going to be a fixture in NXT while also a fixture in TNA, you could easily have him win the NXT championship from Ethan Page in the meantime, and then have the NXT champion taking on the TNA world champion at Bound for Glory, winner take all. That is a hell of a main event. A hell of a main event, and we shall see if that's the route they go. Waz saying he believes, or they believe, I'm sorry, don't want to assume, but I believe too, buddy. I believe too. But getting back to the matchup, Nemeth is able to connect with some strikes and then follows up with a headbutt and a super kick and is able to eliminate Josh Alexander. Everyone is wondering what else is left for Nemeth, having beaten the last guy, when Kaz runs back in, hits a fade to black, and puts Nemeth in a chicken wing. Nemeth is able to get out of it, rolls through, and hits a super kick, only getting the 2 count. Kaz then blocked a danger zone from Nemeth, who then followed with a backstabber. Nemeth is able to get back into it, hit a super kick, hit the danger zone, get that 1, 2, 3, and is now our new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I'm very happy for Nemeth. I know this departure from WWE was a long, long time coming for him. When he finally debuted in TNA, he had so much buzz. He was so hot. Everybody was excited that Nic Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, was finally free of WWE. He came in and he won championships in Mexico. He won championships in New Japan. And a lot of people were wondering what was going to be the championship he would win in TNA. With Matt Hardy coming in, people weren't sure. With Joe Hendry getting so hot, people weren't so sure. And then he started teaming with his brother, Ryan Nemeth. And we all like Ryan. I like Ryan a lot. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be opposed to a Nemeth Brothers tag team title run. But this was the right move. As Eric put in the comments, Nic Nemeth is the biggest name that you have on your roster right now, believe it or not. Putting him up against your biggest rising star in Joe Hendry at Bound for Glory is a big, big, big main event. Whether or not other titles are involved or not, this is huge. And a win over Nic Nemeth is going to do a lot for Joe Hendry's career. Not to say a win over Moose wouldn't be, because Moose is TNA's, I don't want to say golden boy, but they put a lot of eggs into that basket. They really did. So with all the money they've put into Moose, all the investment they've put into Moose, it's not like having him main event your biggest show is going to be a bad idea either. But we've all talked about the fact that the system really aren't the hottest act that they should be in TNA. So maybe this reset is best for everybody. We shall see. The only people still holding belts in the system being Alicia Edwards, and not even associated with the group, Masha Slamovich. So with 3 big losses on the main card and only a win on the pre-show, we'll see how the system reboots following tomorrow's tapings and following Thursday's Impact. Celebrating in the ring, Nic Nemeth is finally holding that TNA World Championship. He is joined by his brother Ryan. He is joined by Jordan Grace. He's joined by the ABC. He's joined by PCO. I thought it was really cool to see so many champions with each other. I believe Speedball was in there too. I would have to go back and look. But this is the future of TNA, guys. We have a whole bunch of new champions. We have a lot of names that have finally ascended and have finally climbed up to the next part of their journey. And I'm really happy to see this progress. I'm really happy to see all these guys get what they've earned. So, guys, that was TNA tonight. That was Slammiversary. I'm sorry I'm a little tired. I'm sorry I've been slurring and I didn't give you the best descriptions of these matches. It is almost 1 a.m. over here after a very long day for me. But I really did enjoy the show. I hope you guys did too. If you enjoyed this show, you know the deal. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. We appreciate it. We love you for it. And it lets us know you want to keep up with us. You know the deal also. We don't just cover TNA. We cover WWE. We cover AEW. I'm going to be doing my best to be covering the G1. I think night 1 happened last night. I'm going to get into it in night 2 and probably do a double review of them tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, everybody, I'm James Gisanti. This is the Market Down Podcast. And you know it. When we cover TNA, this is the Gym Pack Zone. As always, watch wrestling. And as always, watch TNA. Have a good night, guys.